Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the first thing that you have to do when you are doing a graph is you have to set your axes, okay? So I am going to do this video on how to set up axes on a graph. Okay, so a little bit of vocabulary here. This right here, this is the x-axis. And the x-axis, excuse me, always comes from the independent variable. The thing that you changed. So you changed the mass of the weight hanging off of the elastic band. This right here, this is the y-axis. And the y-axis always comes from the dependent variable, which is the thing that changes because of the changes you made to the independent variable. It depends on the independent variable. Then you're going to go ahead and you're going to draw in your lines for the x-axis and your lines for the y-axis. And as long as you're doing that, you might as well label them. So the x-axis is mass. Whoopsie. Let's try that again. The x-axis is mass in grams. Mass is the label. Grams is the unit. The y-axis is going to be extension, how much the band stretched, in centimeters, where extension is the label and centimeters is the unit. Now, the trick to graphs is you want to have your graph take up approximately 2/3 or more of the graph paper. All right? So in general, you're going to want your graph to take up about this much space. Right? That's about 2/3 to 3/4 of the graph paper. So it should take up at least that much space. So the easiest one to do probably is this one. And so let's talk about how you set up the x-axis first. First thing you do is you change your paper so that you are in landscape format, okay, with the longest down there. And I have already counted the number of squares here, so the number of squares is 49. Now, I look at how many or how big my numbers are on the x-axis, the independent variable, and I see that it's 50. Well, that's only 49, so that's too bad. That means I can't go 1 for 1, all right? So rather than getting all bogged down with how you convert 50 into 49, instead of doing that, what I'm going to think of is I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to start at 0, because that was what I had with no extension, okay? And so what I'm going to have down here is I am going to have a 0 to 10, and I'm going to have a 10 to 20, and I'm going to have a 20 to 30, and a 30 to 40, and a 40 to 50. So in other words, I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 markings on my graph, right? So I'm going to start 0 here. I'm going to have my 0 is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total markings, but of course you start at 0, so 5. I need to get 5. So then I just start thinking about numbers, right? So if every one of these is only one square, well, clearly that's not going to work, right? Because then I'd have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, right? And I need it to be like roughly this big. So then I start thinking, well, this is 49, right? So what number can I use? What number of squares can get me nearly 49, but not quite? And it turns out that if I've got 5 of these things, and I multiply each one by 8 squares, 5 times 8 is 40. That's going to get me right about in here somewhere. So I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to put in 8 squares, all right? So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to put my first mark right there. All right? So I'm going to start doing that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my first mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my second mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Third mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fourth mark. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Fifth mark. So that's going to be 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. And it's not quite to where my gray box is, but it's awfully darn close. And so I'm going to go with 8. And now I'm going to erase these little dots because they're not doing anything for me. And then we'll go set the y-axis. All right, so the y-axis. I've got 38 squares to work with, and my biggest number is 10.1. All right, so I need 10 times something, which is going to be smaller than 38, right, but close to 38. And so that number obviously would be 10 times 3 squares is going to give me 30 squares, right? So I'm just going to start putting those in. So 1, 2, 3, there's 1. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 1, 2, 3, 8, 1, 2, 3, 9, 1, 2, 3, 10. Okay, that ought to work for me. Yeah? So now we have our axes all set up and ready to graph for this particular thing. Now, your numbers are going to be different. You're not going to be 50, you're going to be 500. Your extensions are going to be different. So you're going to have to match your numbers to your graph, okay? But that's why we use pencil, so that we can erase if we need to. Good luck.